So today what I want to discuss is gluttony. It is a central issue that we face today in this modern age. We see many people who are overweight, obese, and I personally manage a gym. So I see a lot of people that come in the door asking for help. That way they can get towards their fitness goals and what they know to be true and good for them. Within the Bible, there are instances in which it mentions gluttony, and there are also a lot of other implicit verses that point to the respect and care that you should have for your body. The first time it implicitly mentions gluttony is during the sale of the birthright of Esau to his brother Jacob. Genesis 25:29. Now Jacob cooked the stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, "Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary." Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright as of this day." And Esau said, "Look, I am about to die, so what is this birthright to me?" And Jacob said, "Swear to me as of this day." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils. Then he ate and drank, arose, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So in this story, this is the first time you see a person prioritize food over something that's much more important, in this case being the birthright. And later in the story, you do see that that causes a lot of issues, and it prevents Esau from receiving the blessing of the firstborn. Second time it's brought up is in the book of Deuteronomy, more specifically Deuteronomy 21:18. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and who, when they have chastened him, will not heed them, then his father and his mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his city, to the gate of his city. And they shall say to the elders of his city, "This son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard." Then all the men of his city shall stone him to death with stones, so you shall put away the evil from among you. And all Israel shall hear and fear. So here it talks about the rebellious son, in which if he's being rebellious and he's a drunkard and a glutton and he's not necessarily honoring his parents, which is one of the commandments, his punishment is death. And he shall be brought out to the elders of the city, and they shall judge him and see if he's worthy of that death penalty. This is the second time in the 5 books of Moses that it explicitly mentions gluttony. And in this case, it attaches gluttony to the concept of evil. So clearly it is not good that you are a glutton, according to the 5 books of Moses. For those of us who have really gone there with gluttony and with eating way too much and making ourselves disgusting, do understand that it's not good for us to be in such a state. However, there's a temptation that is really hard to pinpoint why that is. Me personally, there are times where I do want to just munch out and overeat, and you see many different marketing tactics and videos that tell you, "I'm going to make you lose weight. There's simple hacks. It's really easy. You just count calories. You do this, you do that." But in reality, it's an issue that lies within yourself, within your psychology and your upbringing and just all the things that are going on around you. So you can take practical advice and try it out, and at least that will help. However, this is something that you need to go through iterations in order for that to prove to be a solution. Again, it is brought up in the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 25. "The righteous eats to the satisfying of his soul, but the stomach of the wicked shall be in want." So let's just remember that the book of Proverbs is mainly written by King Solomon, who was a man who was blessed by God. So this is a piece of wisdom that he's learned through his lifetime, and whether or not it was divinely inspired is a separate question. But regardless, this is something that I'm sure all of us can get behind, which is, it is good that you eat to the satisfaction of your soul, but you do not eat to the point of exertion, meaning that, which is just a simple instruction. You're not overfilling yourself. You're eating to your satisfaction. I'm sure we all want that six-pack, or we all want a healthy lifestyle, and every person that I consult with that is looking to improve their fitness usually prioritizes the health that is associated with their lifestyle. So top priority is health. They don't want to get sick. They don't want diseases. Their family has all sorts of genetic disorders and health limitations. And then the second priority is looking great in their t-shirts or in the dresses, or six-pack, good body. But it's not vain to say you want a six-pack or you want to look good, because you internally understand that there is value in your physical appearance because God created you in His image and His uniqueness. So there's a level of respect that you have to have for yourself in order to fulfill the loving and care that you have for your existence. Another place that gluttony is mentioned in the book of Proverbs is in chapter 23. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, consider carefully what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are a man given to appetite. Do not desire his delicacies, for they are deceptive food. These series of verses are a little bit more specific to a scenario in which you're eating with a ruler, or I guess you can swap that with a very wealthy man, comparative to you. And you need to be vigilant on what is set before you at your dinner table. He's very extreme in saying, put a knife to your throat. That's how important this is. If you know that you are a man who is given to appetite, if you're a glutton at heart. And the instruction is simple. Do not desire his delicacies, for it's deceptive. Something that I hear a lot whenever I work with my clients is that they have issues on the weekends. But the weekend is not the problem, it's their environment. Usually when people go out on the weekends, they go to restaurants, they go to parties, they go to dinners, they go to their friend's house. And the common rationalization of giving in to your glutton self is saying, this doesn't happen very often. This party doesn't happen very often. I don't go out that much. Oh, it's this person's birthday. Oh, it's a great event that's happening right now. Oh, it's a wedding night. It's a, you name it, birthday party. That excuse is never justified. So do you blame the weekend? Do you blame the environment? Or do you blame yourself? The answer is that you blame yourself because you're not able to restrict yourself. Many people have different ways of coping with that. I've heard the mindset of getting mad at yourself. That's something that Andy Elliott chooses to go with. Look at yourself in the mirror, take off your shirt. Why are you not angry? But then other people find that positive reinforcement helps, and I've seen it myself. Personally, I go off of a punishment method in which if I know that I'm going to a dinner, birthday party, or if I'm going to eat unhealthily, or I'm not really in control of what I have to eat, then I will just punish myself in a certain way. So for example, on a weekend, I know that I'm going out to a restaurant. I just won't eat. I'll skip breakfast, lunch, and just have my dinner. That way I can afford my calories and stay within my budget. If I overeat one day on a regular day for no apparent reason, then the next day I'll either do extra work or I will just eat less so that it matches, but it's not sustainable. So that's why having a rigid and structured lifestyle around food is very important. I've gone through many lapses in which I see the Nutella jar calling my name and I take just a lick, turns into 2, 3, 4 tablespoons, and eventually half the jar is gone because of this gluttonous behavior. And it's not something I'm proud of course, and I know other people have the same issue, it does boil down to this concept that I've called pleasure pain, in which you gain some sort of pleasure by making yourself suffer in the outcome. You know that this isn't good for you, but then there's steps after that. You know that it's not going to make you feel good the next morning. You know that you're not going to sleep well because you have a full stomach. You know that it's not getting you towards your goal, and you know that when you eat healthy, you feel better and you look better. Yet you still give in to the Nutella jar that night and every other night after that. It could be that when you give in to these desires, knowing well that you're not doing something good for you, is a way of self-punishment. And that's a pretty interesting idea, because why would you pain yourself so much and do something that is so bad for you just for the immediate moment that is so fleeting? You've been doing it for many, many years, and you continue to do it over and over and over again, and falling into the same hole and looking at yourself in the mirror and realizing that you're not at your capacity in one aspect of life. Imagine in all the other aspects of life that you're currently in. There's a story, Dante's Inferno, that I want to make a video about, but in short, it's about this guy, Dante, and his guide, I think his name is Virgil, and they go through this journey into hell, and there's 9 circles of hell. The outer parts are, I guess, for people who are less sinful. Then as you get closer to the center, those are reserved for the people who are much more sinful. So it's almost like as you get towards the center of hell, the punishment is worse. And one of the beginning layers of hell is gluttony. People who have given in to food and desires and greed, because it is a form of greed. They have a special place reserved in hell for them. That's a daunting realization if you take into account society's view of a glutton. And there's many forms of gluttony, as I just said: money, greed, desires, wants, food. And ultimately, the lesson is to respect yourself and not give in to it, no matter the reason or cause.